really go back a long, long way, don't we? I just have to share some of the more memorable, humorous experiences that you and I have had over the years. You recall when you were probably not even in kindergarten years, you had broken your leg and you were in a cast. And you lived about 2 blocks from me, and you crawled all the way over to my house to see me. Now that's really loyalty, if I can ever think of any loyalty. And I think it was we were in about the 6th grade, and we contracted this crazy composition of some crazy song, and we called it our happy song. And I can even remember how that song went. Something like this. Hangama, sangama, langa, putakangama, langama, sangama, sutulututu, hambu. Remember that? And I can remember in junior high, both of us were in the band, and we played the trumpet. And we weren't very good. And I think either you or I had the last chair. Anyway, it was the next to last, the last chair in the trumpet section. And we'd come to band practice, and we were always scared to death because we thought Leif Christensen was going to call on one of us to have to play in practice. And we're always afraid we were going to do that because we couldn't read notes at the time. That was really scary. Do you recall in graduate school, you and I and Jim Mallory were living in an apartment house directly next to the governor of Florida in his mansion. And I can recall, his name was Leroy Collins, and I can remember probably about every other morning we'd get up and we'd poke our head out of the window and say, "Good morning, Leroy." I can still remember that. And you recall, this must have been about 12, 15 years ago, I think. We and Harry Myers went to Wisconsin for a seminar, I believe, in Green Lake, Wisconsin. And it was held at this Bible camp. I think it was the Baptist Bible camp. And they always closed the gates to the Bible camp at midnight. And they said, "Boy, if you don't get in by midnight, you're not going to get into the camp." And I remember that first night I think we were out, we didn't get back till about 5 minutes after midnight. We had to crawl over the fence to get into the camp. Remember that? Well, these are just some of the things that I can recall. I'm sure there are many more, but those come to light as I'm thinking about relationship over the years. But I just want to say, Corky, that congratulations on your retirement. I'm sure you'll have a very happy one. And I hope that we can get together for coffee now and then so we can talk over all these old-time experiences that we had, and also that we'll be able to play a little golf. Again, bringing to mind some of the experience of golfing we had over the years. And we'll be able to renew some of our competition in golf. Again, good luck and congratulations.
This story of Corky with me begins back in about 1969, a couple of years before I moved to Moorhead, Minnesota. Corky came up with a dream that has become a reality, and that is that Lutheran Social Service has satellite offices. And we'd taken a look at Park Rapids and some of the needs of that area for counseling, for adoption services, for the various services of Lutheran Social Service, wondering how could Park Rapids become a satellite office for Lutheran Social Service. And after a few visits, I'm sure a few miles between Park Rapids and Moorhead, it finally became a reality in about 1970. And Tom McIntyre, Corky sent Tom McIntyre over to be the counselor. And we visited school counselors, and we visited clergy, and we visited social service people. Lo and behold, for the first few times, Tom had an all-day lunch. And suddenly, it wasn't long before he didn't have time for lunch at all. And when I think about Corky Fuglisted, I think about the reality of the satellite offices out of the Moorhead office, one of which was Park Rapids.
Was he the director back in? Right.
He was the director. He was director of Lutheran Social Service, and in another sense, he was president of this congregation back in 1971. Well, when I was first called to Christ the King Church in 1971, Corky was the chairman, president of the congregation. So he was my first boss when I came to Christ the King and moved to Moorhead. And so we got acquainted with him and his family, and it's provided a friendship that's really a beautiful friendship. So we've stayed in touch over these years.
20 years.
Yeah, 21 years coming up here. And I thought that maybe I could have retired right alongside of him, but somehow it didn't work out quite that way.
You know, when I came here, I first encountered Corky when he was, I didn't know he was director all those years, but he was director down at Lutheran Social Service 1984, and he and Paul Brunsberg had those lunches. Talk to the cameras. But anyway, he and Paul Brunsberg had clergy lunches on Thursday afternoon, I remember. And that was, they were gracious hosts, and they made a fella who had left his colleagues behind feel at home in a new turf. And that sort of was my first contact. Maybe my favorite contact with Corky, though, came just recently. I had made yet another mistake in the service, for which I was kind of apologizing to the people. I forget, but you know, they come quite regularly for me, and I felt badly I'd made this mistake in whatever it was in the order of service. And Corky came out of church that morning, and he was shaking my hand. He says, "I kind of enjoy it when you make those mistakes." And to me, that tells you a lot about Corky. He has a lightness of heart, but yet I've always sensed that really depth of caring in the man that you know, has served well in all his work. But those things. And the other thing I think of too, when I think of Corky and his work, we used to go golfing.
Oh yes.
With the Lutheran Social Service guys. And
Yeah.
Corky didn't always have the lowest score, but he generally had one of the best attitudes, don't you think? Huh?
Always did.
I mean, he took it seriously enough to take golf seriously, but not so seriously that it was.
Yeah. A good hole for Corky was a bonus.
Yeah, that's
bonus
right.
on the golf course that day.
So it's always been fun to play golf with him.
Well, maybe there'd be more of that.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so.
We can look up some times when, we can probably make it more full time.
And the other thing is, around here, around the church here, you always, when you talk to Corky, get a deep sense of caring for the church. That this is an important place to him here, but the church is an important part of his life. That's, what did you say,
Yeah.
reinforcing for
Yeah.
pastors to have people like that around.
There aren't many people that can serve in the same way that Corky did. Because I'm sure that out of our congregation, he had a number of people that he served in the office of Lutheran Social Service in one capacity or another. Personal problems, marriage problems, family problems, whatever it might have been. And yet was able to sit side by side with them in the church on Sunday morning.
Mhm.
That's not always an easy role to handle. I would suspect that if I would have been those people's counselor in the office, I might have been kind of hiding from them on Sunday morning. But he served that dual role really well as a member of the church with the people that he served on a personal basis. Remarkable person that way, very remarkable.
So now he's going to retire.
Now he's going to retire. Yeah, the world will never be quite as good as it was.
But I would imagine he'll have a good time chasing the golf ball.
Oh yeah, I think so. And making sawdust. He's good at making sawdust. Yeah, very good at it. Very good. Yeah. And he does what I would like to do. When I retire, I would like to smell more sawdust too.
Mm-hmm.
And he enjoys his saws and his crafts and the things that he makes.
So I can imagine in a few years, the two of you sitting at coffee at Cher's Kitchen, reminiscing about satellite offices and talking about sawdust making.
Yeah. The latest thing that we have crafted around our radial arm saws. Should be fun. So we really wish Corky well, and we hope that his retirement years can be as profitable to him, as important to him, as his productive years, in Lutheran Social Service, because he has served that capacity really well.
And I imagine that between you and me, we'll cook up a few jobs from around here, maybe.
Maybe we can. Maybe there ought to be a fundraising job around here that we could.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
We could retire
know.
the debt or something.
Yeah. We know one or two. But no, I too. I wish him well. Many years of retirement, and extend my appreciation for what he's meant to me and to this church.
I don't know how to do that. Extend appreciation to kind of repay him in thanks for all the things he's done, because that's a pretty big catalog. It's a lot of things.
Well, we'll probably have to get him. We'll just have to get him a few golf balls in token of our appreciation, and let them be symbols.
Yeah, let's do that. We ought to be able to find some caption that we can paint on a golf ball.
There you go. There you go. That these might not be satellite,
These might-
often beaten track golf balls.
These are down the middle of the road.
There you go.
Middle of the road golf balls for Corky Kulos. Corky, we wish you well. We hope that the years are as good to you as you have been to the years with us.